Oh, my favorite topic. The role of fire in the environment. I think it's an important piece. I know when I was in college, I did the fire rings and studied fire, and I knew that it was part of our ecosystem. But I think people forget that it's always been there. And with management, you know, since we've had suppression for so long, that we need to have some management. You can't just let it be natural, because it is no longer natural. And I think that we're starting to introduce it back into the system with regular intervals with management, and I think we're going to get there, hopefully. But I think I was on the fire use team for a while, and people would not appreciate how much effort goes into fire use. And yes, they do get away, and yes, it does cause problems. But I think that given the right situation, that it's appropriate. But I don't think every fire should be allowed to be confined and contained because of the fuel loading. But then there's the ones that think that we should harvest it all and manage it all, and I don't think that's the answer either. Being a silviculturist, I still believe in timber harvest. I think I just heard a study that was done in Central Oregon on grand fir and its role in dry and wet ecosystems, and that we always assumed that in the wet ecosystems that it never burned, and they did some fire scars and found that it actually did burn. So for people to think that, you know, that ecosystem didn't burn, it did, and so we need to stop thinking that, you know, let's not put fire back into this moist, wet ecosystem. It really needs to come back. So it was kind of a great Oregon State University is doing that, and so I think it's a good study, and I think that it has its place to start moving us back into a more sustainable fire regime, and that maybe, and I'm just guessing, maybe in 20 years we might have a more better mosaic of fire scars and fire treatments, that we won't have a tremendous large fire and we'll be more resilient to climate change is my take on it, because it can't be done overnight. But we can't just put restrictions on, we can't cut trees that are over 21 inches, or you need to look at the whole ecosystem as a whole. And I always say, old trees are wonderful, but if you're an old tree, you don't take in as much carbon, and you don't take in young trees do a lot more. So we do need the old trees, but we also need young trees. And if we only harvest the undergrowth, you're never going to get, for the next generation, there's going to be a hole. So I think that's my personal take on it, and I think that's something that's really important to me, that we continue to move forward, because every animal, birds, habitat that they need, we've skewed it somehow, and so our populations, some are suffering and some are thriving more than they should, and so we need to put a balance back in